name's Esme Clemo and today I'm in the heart of Kent finding out what it is that makes British wool so special. I'm joined by Kristina Boulden, who along with her husband Paul runs Romney Marsh Wools. Kristina, what is so great about British wool?
Well, we have the most different types of breeds in this country compared to the rest of the world. There are over 60 different types of breeds. Now if you go up to Scotland, breeds tend to have slightly coarser fleeces because of the conditions that they're in, and the more southern you get, the finer the fleeces. And actually the Romney Marsh has the Romney Marsh breed, and they have a nice sort of fine British wool.
Now Romney, that's the breed that you specialise in here, isn't it?
It is. They're circa 13th century breed, so they are indigenous to the area, and they're very hardy sheep. As you can see, it's very windy today. Well, the marsh can get incredibly windy and wet as well. Now they can cope with those conditions.
And that's not the only breed that you have here. You also keep merino sheep.
We do. We have a small flock of Saxon merinos. Now they're very unusual in this country. In fact, there are fewer than 1,000. And our small breed of 60, they have this incredible fine fleece because they are more of a southern hemisphere sheep, and their wool is just beautiful.
Fantastic. So shall we go and see some lambs?
Absolutely.
So we're now in the barn with a newly born lamb. In fact, this lamb was born last night, wasn't it, Kristina?
It was, yeah, she was. She's lovely, isn't she?
Oh, she's very sweet. And Mummy's just sat behind us. Kristina, this is a Romney variety. How do their fleece compare to the merinos?
So the merinos are obviously world famous for having the finest fleeces out of all the sheep breeds in the world. They have incredibly fine fleece. So if you compare your human hair being 100 microns, the Romneys, they sit around sort of early 30s, which is one of the finer British fleeces, whereas the merino is probably around sort of 18, 20 microns.
So how many times will the sheep be shorn?
So we basically shear just once a year, so end of sort of May, June through to July is when we'll shear, and then we just let the fleece grow to the next year.
Next year, so they have a nice big winter fleece then.
Absolutely.
To get them through our winters.
Absolutely, yes.
And what do you do to the fleece whilst it's still on them to keep it at its highest quality?
We obviously try and keep them in fields that haven't got any sort of ash on the ground so they can roll in it, because that would be bad news. We try not to mark them too much either. Her fleece would be lovely for scarves and clothing because she's got lovely soft fleece.
Lovely. So shall we go and take a look at some of your products?
Yes.
Okay, so Kristina, after the sheep have been shorn, their fleece ends up like this. Can you explain to us the difference between the merino and the Romney?
Yes, definitely. So the Romneys have got this really nice, incredibly long staple, so spinners love using it because, as you can see, it's incredibly
It's really long, isn't it?
It's also one of the finer British wools, but not the finest wool. Now, the merinos, which we've also got, they are world famous for having the softest fleeces in the world. Now,
well, that's much shorter, isn't it?
It's incredibly short. It's very, very dense fleece, but if you look at it, it's almost like cotton.
So this is them in their rawest state. What
Yes.
happens to them after this?
So once you've actually sheared your sheep, then what you do is you'll actually take it through the first stage, which is washing, which is actually known as scouring.
Okay.
And so at the moment, if you feel it's very oily.
Yeah, almost waxy, almost.
Yeah, so that's lanolin, and lanolin is something sheep produce naturally all the time. It keeps them warm and dry, you see. So the first thing you do is you'd actually wash the lanolin out and any sort of dirt that's in there as well. What you then do is you take it through a carding machine. Now the carding machine is effectively like two brushes, and they're combing and they're lining all of the fibres, so any debris will drop out, and effectively you get this
something much smoother.
What happens then is it will then get what's called sorted, And the sorting is effectively pulling it into fine lines in readiness to then get spun, and spinning is just into the yarn, and it's a twisting action. Now, depending on what sort of gauge you want, depends on how many times you twist it together. And that effectively then gives you your yarn, which should look like this.
Oh, fantastic.
So that one's the Romney, and I talked about the different fibres. So you can see, I mean, Romney is nice and soft, but compared to the merino,
oh yeah, there is a
big
difference in softness, isn't there?
In the touch and feel of it. And that's why merinos, as say, are world famous for having the softest fleeces in the entire world.
Yeah, very, very soft. And that's not the only thing that you make. As you mentioned earlier, lanolin. So what can you do with lanolin?
So lanolin is amazing. I say it is what keeps the sheep warm and dry effectively in all the weather. It's used in lots of things. It's really, really hydrating.
Okay.
So it acts a bit like on the sheep on us, where it hydrates the skin, but it also barriers it.